Good. I made it to the highest farm on this side of the mountain. Last chance to stock up on durian and other garden fruits. After I leave this farm, it's gonna be just small jungle fruits for me. However, durian season is towards its end. I see only very old rotten durians. The farm is well maintained. The ground is well visible. I was told usually nobody will object if you are hungry and eat one durian. Just don't start collecting a basket full in somebody else's garden. It's their livelihood, it's their income, it's also their food. They eat a big part of the harvest and sell the rest. So don't abuse it. Eat one fruit if you are hungry, but don't overdo it. Also, never take durians from a pile. I mean, here it's obvious on his farm next to his hut, but even in an ancestral fruit forest without a particular owner, if somebody makes a pile, by the way, somebody could still be here. The fire is still smoking. If somebody makes a pile, you leave them alone. More often than not, those piles will rot, but it's none of your business. Here, they've processed a lot of durians. You might have noticed that we are quite far up the hill. You might still hear the faint sounds of the Borneo highway, but every durian that's not perfect for sale is being processed here. The rind is being removed, the seeds are being removed, and then only the edible flesh, which makes up about, I don't know, in wild durians maybe 5 to 10% of the weight. In those old kampung durians, maybe 15% of the weight. In modern durians, sometimes 30, 40, 50% of the weight. But here, basically 80% of the weight of the fruit are being left behind. That's good, because this is fertilizer. Also, you can see durians grow like crazy. There are hundreds of little seedlings from the last durian harvest. Sometimes they will just put a stick next to one of those seedlings and say this seedling will be the next generation tree. But in this case here, they have selected a couple of those, put them into plastic bags. I don't know if those are seeds from the surrounding trees, which are going to be planted somewhere here, or if those seeds were brought from some other place to improve the local stock, or if they're from the surrounding trees and going to be planted somewhere else. As you can see down there, there is an abandoned pepper plantation. In front of the forest you see the pepper poles. Here is a pepper plantation which is still being cultivated. Why so far away from the village? Why on such a remote and rocky slope? Pepper is very picky. You try where it grows, and it grows only on special places. And usually it likes sunny, often rocky slopes. This is a very good cash crop for remote areas. Imagine the pepper is much more expensive per kilogram than the durian, and you have to carry it down all the way. So pepper is good for remote areas, but I'm sure those people here who built this beautiful durian hut, see, they built it with walls made out of bamboo. That's beautiful. I'm sure they are not the youngest anymore, and cultivating a pepper plantation is a lot of work. Durian is less work, and only also if you don't do anything in a mature durian plantation for 10 years, it's not a problem. If you don't do anything in a pepper plantation for 10 days, you're already in trouble. Let's see. Those mushrooms here look like something I've seen on markets. No, actually they are something different. I don't think they are an edible mushroom. Well, attacking the champion tree here. Couple beans among the pepper. I don't even know what beans. They cultivate a plethora of different beans here. Also growing this on this rocky ground. Planting a young mango tree here. Here it seems they had a sour eggplant patch and lemongrass. Beautiful. Now there should be a lakucha tree with bigger and tastier fruits right here at the edge. Also, yeah, here is the end. Here's the upper limit of cultivated land and of proper trails. From now on it's jungle. At first not completely pristine, but basically nobody goes to the upper areas. Here a small lakusha, but doesn't look so good. This one already pretty rotten. Trees are right here. I think those trees, but no good fruits on the ground. Also, I didn't find durian in this farm. In the other farms on the slope there were still a lot of good durians, but I guess I'm fat enough to survive. Now entering the jungle. Those are my favorite jungle vines. Strong and subtle. Can use them for almost everything. My belt is made from them. Actually from one of them. Now, and the first fruit I find in the jungle is an invasive. See those blue, hairy berries here? Invasive from North America. Not too tasty, a bit sweet, quite okay. Well, yeah, sad. You enter the jungle and the first thing you find is an invasive plant. Also you find that you have to kind of fight your way into the jungle. But it's usually only on the edge of the jungle or in different types of secondary vegetation. Inside the jungle you actually do not use your parag all the time, except to mark your trail. And don't let the distant sound of the highway fool you. Up here I'm on my own. Hunters might come here from time to time, but apart from them, the only regular inhabitants up here are the monkeys. This is kind of a solitary mountain, so nothing to block the sound of the highway. Might give you a false sense of civilization and proximity to other people. Well, the good thing is, most probably, at least, your phone signal is gonna work up here. Let's see. Those big jungle trees would have been cut down in lower areas. Here in Sarawak, Sarawak Forestry also manages all the national parks. And the national park in Sarawak is a place where the cost of the timber doesn't justify the cost of the logging. I'm sure this jungle will be made a national park soon. Good that this place is so high and so steep that it wasn't fit for large-scale logging. It's even possible that this lower area was logged at some time. I don't see too many old trees. Oh, what are those black ants doing? Oh, look at that. Those black ants got a centipede. And I think this is not the harmless type. This is the poisonous centipede. Centipedes are very common in the jungles around Serian. But this looks like a nasty one. And look at that. The centipede is what, 100, 200, 300 times? Ah no, okay, it's one of the harmless ones. Unfortunately, it's still not dead. It's a couple hundred times bigger than those ants. It's not even completely dead yet, but they're already pulling it towards the right side of the picture. Here next to them, a giant lolly-poly is completely unaware of the drama that's happening less than a foot away from him. What I wanted to say is, I don't see a lot of ancient trees here in the lower part. Also I see bamboo, which is a sign of disturbance. So it is possible that logging has been taken place here, but since the area immediately above was left alone, and since no planting was done here, no reforestation. Reforestation is one of the biggest crimes if done wrong. Because of this, it recovered nicely. Apart from the bamboo, I don't see obvious species which are signs of disturbance. So even if there was some logging here, the healing powers of the jungle have prevailed. Don't underestimate the healing powers of the jungle. It has lived with slash and burn agriculture for thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years. Here, two big trees. You see such trees? Probably there hasn't been any logging here, but I still don't see any of the really huge jungle giants. Here again, Amorphophallus, the biggest flower or rather bloom in the world. The flower or bloom can get up to 3 meters. However, this could be Amorphophallus cognac, slightly smaller species, which is also kind of edible if you know how to detoxify it. And if there is Amorphophallus here, and if this is a more or less pristine jungle with nice vines, there is a chance for me to find the other contestant for the biggest flower in the world, Rafflesia. Let's see if I manage to find Rafflesia here. This is a maybe not 1 in a million, but 1 in 1,000 chance. There is one national park where you can easily find them, Kurungading. In all the other mountains at national parks, they're very difficult to spot. A lot of jungle sounds, that's a sign of a good rainforest. But several sugar palms, several bamboos, I think at least selective cutting might have been done down here. When you hear a lot of birds and insects in the jungle, that's a good sign for a good biodiverse jungle. You will also have a lot of plants like this incredibly beautiful ancient vine. The tree that originally supported it died. Probably the termites over there helped kill it. But the vine has already moved on to a lot of other trees. This looks like a grapevine. By that I mean it's in the Vitaceae. And I know haters gonna hate, but I want to show you one of the easiest way to get water in the jungle. I'll sacrifice one of the smaller branches. If you find the vine with shaggy bark, it could be a Vitaceae and it could get you water. Vitaceae means it's a close relative of the real grapevine. You cut off a piece, you have to cut it on both ends and wait. See the bubbles, air bubbles, and then suddenly what? Tastes a little bit strange. There's a bit of oxalate in here, I think. But it's safe, basically. Well, it's not sterile, it comes from a plant, but there are no noxious bacteria which might be in other water sources. Just be careful if you get the wrong wine. Some have toxic sap that will make you regret ever cutting a vine. If the sap is milky or any other color, if it doesn't look like clear water, like those drops, you stay away from it. Also, this thing doesn't give me a lot of water. Maybe if I put it in a bottle, it will give me like a cup of water or so. I've never chopped down any of those thicker pieces here. I kind of don't want to destroy a nice old grapevine. I just destroy this one thin stem to show you. Last time I destroyed the bamboo on this very mountain to get some drinking water. I got so much hate for it. But yeah, if you're in the jungle, you should know how to survive in the jungle. A huge butterfly, and of course I was too slow again. Huge bugs are actually quite rare in tropical areas. I don't know how it was 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago, but those huge dams and those huge power plants means many millions of lights everywhere. And light pollution is deadly for insects. Also, they have so many pesticides, they are complaining that there are almost no fish and snails in the rivers anymore. Fishing basically makes no sense anymore. So every time I see a huge insect here, I'm happy. Because 100 years ago they might have been everywhere. Now they are rare. Here, by the way, a nice rotten stem. And here more. Very valuable jungle resource. Before they cut down the jungles, this was the main source of income for the people living in the jungle. But carrying them down from up here, those are incredibly heavy. This is not bamboo. This is not hollow bamboo. This is a massive palm stem. Carrying them down from up here just doesn't cover the costs. The price just doesn't cover the effort. This little fruit with the sandpapery skin tastes quite good. Ringus tried it. Ringus is like me. He likes to try everything he finds in the jungle. We are living quite a dangerous life. Well, I mean, he's a giant sting bee hunter, so cannot get much more dangerous than this. Here, the skin is really like sandpaper. Lots of little cutting hooks. The insect is quite tasty, but Ringus says his people never ate this. If you know what this is, folks, please tell me. It starts feeling a bit like rain. A wise man would turn back now. But am I a wise man? Well, I know that I have to advance through this, along this more or less gentlish slope. It's not gonna be gentle forever. There are also some steep parts. About 1 kilometer, maybe more, till I reach one ridge. And then this ridge, which even in parts has a rudimentary trail, follow this where it meets up with more ridges, and finally goes to the top of the mountain. Stick would be good. Look at this tree. It has lost the competition for light. This one is gonna die soon anyways. A nice sturdy stick. A little bit too heavy with the high quality jungle woods here. Stick doesn't need to be particularly thick, but okay. Now I have a heavy sturdy stick. I know that it's not gonna let me down. Wind gusts. Yeah. It should be already 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, more or less the normal time for the rain to start. pattern on those rocks almost looks like water pattern on limestone, but they still look like sandstone. And this looks like rock paintings, but it's some fungus or lichen. I guess it's some fungus producing this pattern. Some wild Artocarpus. The monkeys have gotten to it first. Also a little cave. In an emergency, this could be a shelter for me. I could squeeze in here. They're gonna get incredibly dirty. But still, it's a resource to remember. Also, very intricate rocks. Is this all still sandstone? It really looks like patterns in limestone. Pandanus in this much more light part of the jungle. In the lowlands, in the coastal areas, some pandanus species are used for food. Around here, the Borneo just use them for mats. Also here, some small fruit. Should be some sort of sapindaceae, some type of never tried old fruits. A little bit sour and sweet. Guess it's unripe. Twisted in a very strange way. This could be a marker. Oh, also here, another small fruit. You know that the dayak around Sintag, called this Poachilupan. Very pleasant but very strong sourness. Good stuff, but you cannot eat too much of it. It's sour like a lemon. Beautiful little fruit. My phone doesn't show its brightness. Yeah, I think it's closely related to this other fruit. Also has a sandpapery skin. This one is sour. It's ripe. This one is ripe. It's sour, but also a bit sweet. Has a nice flavor, like some type of plum. Okay, I think what I've reached here is a rudimentary trail. Let's see. No sign that this tree has been chopped down. There is something going up here. Broken branches. If it was a human trail, they would have chopped a couple trees with their parag. Let's see here. Just broken. What animal around here is big enough to break such high things? We don't have any more bears here. I don't know if the deer go that high up the mountains. A human would use their parag. Here on the ground, one of the tastiest Borneo fruits, kubal or Borneo rubber. Before the advent of the American rubber, this was a major industry in Borneo. It's a big vine. Cannot see the vine right now, but there's definitely a kubal fruit lying on the ground. I love to harvest those, and for many years I've been talking so much to different communities here in Borneo to start the cultivation again, not for the rubber, but for the delicious fruits. Maybe one of the best Borneo fruits. Also, I remember this rudimentary trail. I took it a couple times during previous visits. But still, it's strange nobody else is chopping stuff here. See? A lot of Borneo rubber fruits around me. If I'm lucky, the monkeys would have dropped one, which is still more or less enclosed. Hold on. Here. This one is already been completely eaten. Lots more here. An unripe one. This one they did not eat completely. Well, little monkeys, give me a nice, good fruit. Right among the Borneo rubber there is another incredibly tasty fruit. Oh, Artocarpus. Oh. I think this is rigidus. Correct me if I'm wrong. With this, there is also a chance that the monkey got disturbed and dropped one. Ah, fucking rotten! Oh. The monkey dropped one before he finished it. Here. This one seems to have been dropped before it was finished. Yeah. If you think, well, tell me what Artocarpus you think this is. I think it's rigidus. Oh, one beautiful yellow area left. Sweet and sour. Delicious. It's so good. Perfect balance between sweet and sour. With the nice mild flavor. I love those, but they usually don't have a lot of edible aerials. So folks, for over an hour I could not film, which is a pity. I passed some pretty beautiful rock formations. Also I'm in the deep jungle now. This is more or less what a pristine jungle looks like. Found a couple of Artocarpus species, none of which I could identify properly. It's a pity that I couldn't film them. And right now I'm sitting here in an area with small elephant apples and want to try them. So I'm again on this very same, very rudimentary trail. I've been taking up the mountain for, 4 or 5 years. You might think, well, it's so boring, always the same trail. Well, you heard the Bidayou woman right now. Going alone into the jungle is already considered pretty risky. And, yeah, I kind of minimize the risk by going to an area I already know. Do I want to explore other jungle areas? Yes, of course. But this gives me a little bit of safety. Also, if I derive too much from this, here by the way, this is a water protection area, which is good because you protect the water, you also protect the jungle. If I derive a bit from this spot to the left and to a smaller extent to the right, there is so much rotan. I already had an encounter with it. It cut me up, but it already got washed away by moist leaves. So, yeah, staying on track is not the worst thing I can do here. Also, storms here can be a bit more severe than in the lowlands. You see a lot of fallen leaves and branches, and a lot of those did not come down voluntarily. So, yeah, a rainstorm could be a problem. Also, since it's already 3:30, around 4 I have to turn back to be back at civilization in time. I always thought those were traces from the pigs, but Ringa says this could rather be from a pangolin. A very rare and very much sought after animal by poachers, unfortunately. Here somebody has been chopping some rotan. Those are traces of a parag, but I doubt they carry it down so far. That means they must have used it here. There is so much rotan further down. There is no need to carry some from here, even if it's a particularly good species. Here they have cut 2 more. What have they used this rotan for? Usually you would use this to get a resource which is even more valuable than the rotanite, which is somewhere up the trees. Well, but up which tree? There are people foraging up here. It's always very interesting to know what they are foraging. Could be that they needed this rotten to get up some tree to get bees. Well, bees is actually the only thing I can imagine that would be valuable enough. But I don't see any tree with a rotten ladder around it. This looks like some wild mangosteen. Also, somebody has broken a lot of twigs here. This is not the work of a human. What animal, huh? Look at this. So many twigs have been broken. What animal does this? I mean, a gorilla could do this to make his nest in Africa. But here, somebody has... Wait, so there is a fruit. There are more of those fruits. And there is this interesting bed here. Who harvested the rotten and who made this bed? Did they ever use a... It looks like a bed. It's over 2 meters long, 1.5 meters wide. It looks like somebody laid it. Well, or is it a... What? It's a trap! It's a fucking trap! It's not a bed, it's a trap! Oh, good that I didn't lie down on it. You don't know what's down in this trap, but I want to know. It's oh, and this ripe fruit on top, now I cannot get it anymore. It's a fucking trap. But for what animal? Whew. I've seen slings, but this is a pit. Oh, actually, this pit is not very deep. Huh? What type of trap is this? It's not a deep pit. Folks, this is getting more and more mysterious. Wait. What did they cover here? No, it's not a trap, it's too shallow. So it could be a bed, but who makes a bed above this hole? Maybe some hunter was sitting here and waiting for some animal, but which hunter doesn't use a parang? They've harvested a lot of little twigs from a big area. They still don't understand what they used the rotten for. Not to climb this tree for sure, there are enough vines going up this tree. You know, a lot of the secrets in the Borneo jungle are basically what people do around here. So there is this fruit. I have no idea what this fruit is. It could be a mangosteen relative. Never try fruits if you don't know what they are. It is a mangosteen relative. Sour. That's a tasty one too. I think when this is ripe, it's probably gonna be pink curry and pretty tasty. So maybe this was a bed over a shallow pit, but it's very strange that they did not use a parang to make the bed. Rotten ahead everywhere. To be careful, especially on my way back. If it's raining, I must not lose orientation, because you end up inside those rotten tickets. You are in deep trouble. Head first. Oh. Check the map for the first time. Why it feels like I've advanced very deep into the jungle. It's just about 1 kilometer. but it's all uphill. And there are still several kilometers to the main peak, which I don't think I have ever reached. I'll continue a little bit more and then I need to go back. Giant jungle tree ahead. If you want some proof that this area was never locked, this is a good hint for you. I always underestimate their size until I stand right in front of them. Almost 2 meters thick. Very tall. I'm not tired. I could go on some more, but if it starts raining, I don't want to get bogged down in this rotten thicket. This is gonna strip the skin and the flesh from my bones. Also destroy my pants and my backpack, but it's not that I would care too much at that moment. So I'm turning back. Let's not be too unwise. I've already missed all public transport possible. And we'll have to take a car. That's not, well, that's a small inconvenience because there are not many Grab cars here in the small town of Serian. But the important part is now to go back to an area where I'm not being threatened by rotten from all sides. What's that fruit? Never seen anything like this in my life. It looks like a cactus. So spiny. What is it? Is it the only one around here? Did it get ripped off by a foraging animal? I would make a video, but just for one not very well preserved fruit, I don't think it's worth it. So tell me on this video what this is supposed to be, folks. Another fruit. Opening in two halves. At first I thought it could be a myristica nutmeg, but it has no base. So no idea what this is. If I got bogged down in this jungle tonight, this would be my dinner. What caused this indentation in the forest floor next to this huge elephant apple tree? There are no elephants here, but it looks like something big. A pig, a deer, or some other biggish animal has been sleeping here for quite some time. And here again, this vine with those strange fruits. I found them near Bau at my friend Takian, and yeah, a 60+ old Bidayu man didn't know what this is and said they never used them. Then I found them when I was hiking with my friend Mijar here, with my friend Ringus in this case. Ringus is also a 60+ year old Bidayu man. Both are very good, basically very good rangers. One is a hunter, the other one a bee hunter. And Ringus also did not know what this is. So either this has no known uses, or the people I met are not familiar with them. Somebody left marks in this tree. This could mean different things. Either here is a trail, but nobody has marked the trail in most places. There are marks on this tree also, but not on other trees. Or there is some resource up there. I see a very big cluster of epiphytic ferns, but nothing else. Here is the part where the trail gets kind of lost in a rotten thicket. And here is a rambutan. It's not impossible that this was planted or that somebody threw the seeds in a place that was kind of open. There are wild rambutan species around here. This was definitely Nephelium lapaceum. There is also wild Nephelium lapaceum in Borneo. But it's also cultivated, so for this rambutan, well, even in very remote places, sometimes people spit out seeds and then things grow. Yes, speaking of very remote places, where is my trail? I mean, I am prepared for the challenge of this little part where the trail gets lost, but still, it's no big fun. One Artocarpus species, completely picked empty by the monkeys. Something tarap-like, but no tarap smell. This could mean it's too unripe. Artocarpus saravacensis also has a very mild smell. Also, around me, what kind of leaves do we have? This is an Artocarpus leaf, but this looks more like Artocarpus arizophilus. Also, this could be an Artocarpus leaf. Well, let's leave it at that here. A clear, smooth area in the jungle. Looks like some animal has been running around here all the time. Also, somebody has broken this thing at about 1.20 meters above ground. And somebody has also broken this one tree. Was this made by an animal or by a human? Hello. Come on, you're dead already. Yeah, always get stuck in the rot, and I don't even film it because I would have to do 20 identical clips. A hollow tree. This can harbor a lot of resources, from water to termite or even stingless honeybee colonies. However, right now, and also small mammals that can hide here, and hunters are of course interested in the flesh. But right now I don't see any resource here. Huge jungle trees, and again, incredibly spiny, rotten thickets. By now, I should find, by now, I should be back on the trail. Fire! Look at my legs, and beautiful, isn't it? Okay. Here is the little knoll. Yeah. I found the trail a little bit too late to show you a certain Artocarpus, but okay, I'm not going back for that. I remember this place from previous years. I don't know why so many good fruit trees grow here on top of this little peak. There is a lot of kubal. Also, there are two Artocarpus species on which the monkeys have been feasting. And here I prepared something for filming. The big one should be Artocarpus rigidus or strictus. Here together with some leaves. The small one, I'm a little bit at a loss. I forgot to show you the suspects for the different leaves of the small Artocarpus. There is this leaf around here, which is, I'm quite sure is an Artocarpus leaf. Then there are those leaves around here, which also could well be Artocarpus leaves. And then there are those laciniate leaves, which also seem to be Artocarpus leaves. Well, this Artocarpus has very different leaves, so we can exclude the possibility that any of those three leaves are the leaves of the big one. So I hope this will help you with identifying the smaller species. On the way down, I noticed sterculia, a very important resource. Those are the sterculia fruits. Yeah, a lot of sterculia seems to be in season around here. The fruit is not the edible part, the seeds are. But something has picked out all the seeds, or maybe they have fallen down. Ah yes, a lot have fallen out. This is a sterculia seed. You have to remove the black, then the white, then the brown layer. Actually, I think 2 brown layers. And then you can eat the seed that's underneath. It's not particularly tasty. Also, it's a bit slimy. I eat them when there are no other nuts or seeds, but when there is something tastier, I usually prefer it. But still, a plentiful resource when in season. Often, let me show you down there. I think this might be a sterculia seedling here. Often the fruits are very bright red or orange. I don't know why those are mostly very dull, but here is one which still has some redness to it. So, also this fruit is a little bit bitter. That's not so normal for sterculia. But yeah, a good and plentiful survival resource. As is this Artocarpus. Don't know which one it is. It's next to this Artocarpus leaf and to this Artocarpus leaf, so you can also tell me which one this is. This must have been quite a heavy storm. Look how many leaves are lying everywhere on the ground. Don't want to be caught in something like this on the mountain. Here the beautiful rock formations covered with vines. Actually, those vines on top of rocks, they often harbor, well, they sometimes, in rare cases, harbor Rafflesia, biggest flower in the world. Beautiful, thick stems. I see this as the most biodiverse natural habitat in the world. But some people only see this as cubic meters or cubic feet of timber. I think this is the fish poison vine. You need the roots of this one to stun fish in the rivers. But of course, as a vegetarian and a nature lover, I would never do this. Taking in the beautiful jungle surroundings once more. Only a couple 100 meters to the highest farm. What are those cherry-sized orange fruits up there? Could they be something tasty? Well, too high to get up there, but maybe. Maybe some have fallen to the ground. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Oh, many. Oh, nice. Never eat unknown fruits, folks, but I'm pretty sure this is a Bacaurea. The right is quite nice and sour. Phew. The aerials, not so nice yet. Here another Artocarpus. Oh, this one still was good and I destroyed it. I'm an idiot. Only very slightly hairy. With white aerials. Now I dropped them. Only slightly sweet with a strange chemical flavor. I don't think I've ever eaten this species. When you are really captured by a rotan, not just grazed, even when you are grazed, often you have to stop to untangle yourself. In this case, only my backpack was taken hostage, but still, always be incredibly now my pants. Always be incredibly careful around rotan. Don't try to rip yourself away with force. You will suffer, not the rotan. It seems that I'm slightly off track and I have to go left to get to the highest farm. Well, I could either go left or try to go downhill to catch the next lower farm, but I don't know this trail, so in a jungle full of rotan, you try not to get into the very rotten areas. Well, however, there is something trail-like here. It might be just a shadow of a trail, but yeah. It is kind of trail-like. So, let's go this way. Also, some very spiny fruits have attached to my pants, and the ones I threw away now attached to my leg. They are really really stalkish. Follow me everywhere. Oh, and here again, this interesting little fruit with a sandpaper skin. Positive that this was farmland at one point, and about 40-50 meters ahead I can see a farm. And see, here is a big Amorphophallus leaf. The plant has one leaf. This one was taller than me, with this signature petiole. When this leaf accumulates enough nutrients, it will die. A huge spata, a huge inflorescence with a huge spata will emerge, and later will turn into a big fruit-bearing bunch. Here is an even bigger one. Look, I can walk underneath it. See, this thing is, well, still thinner than my leg. This is my leg. This is a leaf. I can comfortably walk underneath it. It's like 3 meters tall. And this later will produce the biggest bloom in the world. And this one leaf here might actually produce quite a big one. Huge Artocarpus leaf. No fruits nearby, so I'm not sure what species this is. But my shoe is being dwarfed by it. And there are much bigger ones even. Here ahead of me, quite a smallish infrutescence of the Amorphophallus. This one was probably a small leaf also. I'm going a bit to the right. Secondary vegetation is usually much difficult to traverse than original jungle. This is old secondary vegetation. It's quite easy to traverse for secondary vegetation. But this seems like real jungle. And as you can see, the real jungle has a lot of vegetation on the ground. But it's also quite easy to cross. This is also very typical for the jungle. It shows me 50 meters, but 10 minutes later, I'm still not out. Still not out of the jungle. Here, more Amorphophallus leaves. Here, even some quite rare thing, two leaves emerging from the same spot. Tell me how this happens. Two Amorphophallus leaves. Cauliflorous jungle fig, but it's unripe. And with this we are back on the old pepper plantation. I always warned of this weed here, Conyza albida. In the last 10-15 years it has taken over, well, the gardens and natural habitats of Germany, the farms of the Mediterranean, the gardens of the American Midwest, and even here, this remote mountain pepper plantation in Borneo. I think it hybridized and created some resistant hybrid, and now the whole world has to deal with the new wheat, and nobody knows how. Like, I talk to different people from different countries, they say it's herbicide resistant. The Americans try it out, they throw everything at it. Guess what stuck? The only thing that kills it is Agent Orange. And no, we don't want the second Vietnam. So for now, mankind is kind of at a loss how to deal with this thing. I'm sure that this pepper plantation is being sprayed with herbicides. And look, everything else around the pepper is dead. Everything but Conyza albida. I want my durian. I did have fried durian for breakfast. It's exactly like fried bananas. only more aromatic and put a seed inside. But I do want fresh durian. However, those two don't look like they gonna feed me today. Well, the durian season is almost over. I guess there is nothing good left in this one durian grove. I would also settle for a tarap, but those fruits have fallen days ago. There is not even anything left to eat. Back to the bamboo thicket. Funny, there are no pandas in Borneo. Again, the Artocarpus lacusha. I guess it's wild here and not cultivated. Very tasty, but those fruits are not in their prime. Let's try and get some tarap this time. There is a nice stick here, so I guess I don't have to climb. However, I don't know. If you're even gonna be able to see anything. Also this fruit is unripe with a bigger stick. Also don't need this grass here. Those fruits on that tree are unripe. This one over there. Go down. Something came down. Just the fruit I lost. Now, take another one. So many beautiful, huge and super sweet arrows. Big time sugar flash. This mangosteen looks edible enough. Well, not completely fresh anymore. But I think, nope, not still of acceptable quality. I want mangosteen, man. Well, can I shake down those two? Aha, gotcha. Yeah. Queen of fruits. Delicious. The freshly fallen mentawak, but freshly fallen in the dirt. What a pity. I'm hungry, and I want fruits. Oh, another one bites the dirt. Look at that. That's Borneo in the fruit season. And even among the biggest plenty, sometimes you have to go hungry. See the giant dwarf weaver spider? This is almost the size of my hand. It's not massive like a tarantula, but it scares me even more. They say they are harmless, but I don't care. You don't look harmless to me, buddy. Nice being greeted by an old friend. Look at those beautiful rambutans and those cute pineapples. I actually made it to the highway without even getting wet. I'm proud of myself. Well, no need to be proud of myself because it didn't rain today. Look at that, they have there some kabantan. Also, I noticed that from day to day, the durian supply is getting lower and lower. Hi, boss. So the season is really coming to an end.